than normal, but kind to spend a few minutes with us. Coach, thanks for your time. As always, tough weekend. You get one on Friday night, and then in a lot of ways play well enough to win the next two games, but just not able to get it done, and ultimately it's Arkansas that takes 2 out of 3 this weekend. What was your takeaway?
No, I think you're exactly right. I think, it's unfortunate, but, I thought we did play pretty well, just not well enough. And, certainly I thought we got, 3 good starts out of our guys, which, hasn't always been like that this year. And the bullpen, pitched well enough. I know we got walked off on Saturday. But what Arkansas really does this year is they really pitch and they really defend. And, they just don't give up runs. And in conference play, they give up the least amount of runs next to Tennessee. So, second least amount of runs. And you can see why. And then, of course, obviously a tough environment there. And we competed. We played really hard and, got really close and, swing away, a few innings. And, it's a totally different weekend. But, again, just come up short.
Was this collectively the best you've been defensively in conference play? I mean, you had the 4 double plays in Friday night's game, but just kind of over the course of the weekend, making all the plays that you're supposed to make?
Yeah, pretty much so. I thought a couple dumb mistakes, a couple drop fly balls, and some wind playing havoc with us a little bit. But you're right. Making pitches, making plays. It's kind of been the focus. Early in the season when we weren't having success, we let innings balloon on us because we just didn't make plays, and sometimes they go down as hit, not necessarily errors, but sometimes you got to make a diving catch, you got to turn a double play or throw out a guy stealing. You got to help your pitcher along, and we weren't able to do that early in the season. We did that this weekend. We made plays, like you said, turned double plays. We had a caught stealing by Dunhurst and another catcher's interference. Just a lot of different plays that help the pitchers that pitched well, but certainly they'll take all the help they can get out there.
So you've talked to us some throughout the course of the year about the fact that there's a lot of experience on offense, and at times the offense has looked really good. In the last couple of weekends, pitching and defense has been better. 11 games left in the regular season. I know the answer is you hope so, but is there a way to put all 3 parts of the game together for the last 3 weeks of the regular season to really try and make a run?
No, I think there's definitely, there's still a path. We don't talk about that path very much, but they realize, the path to postseason, the path to finishing well, with each loss gets narrower. With each win, it gets a little, maybe a little wider and a little, more clear. But, you got to play good baseball. When you play in our league, you got to play really good baseball. And unfortunately, we played pretty good baseball this weekend. And what can happen is a very unforgiving league. Sometimes they just play better than you and played a really good, team on the road, and they just played a little bit better than us. But certainly I think, we have it in us to do it. We haven't done it enough. We've done it in certain games. We did it on Friday. We did it on Tuesday against State down in Jackson. We've done it. We just haven't done it enough. Over a weekend. And if you do it enough, if you keep knocking on the door, then eventually it opens. And once it opens, some good things are going to happen. But again, like you said, there's 11 games left. We don't have a lot of time to wait for that to happen. We got to make it happen.
So you kind of answered where I wanted to go next. I was going to ask if you have a conversation, if maybe team leaders have a conversation where they say, look, the opportunity to get to the postseason, which is a goal every year, is getting really tight. Do you have that conversation? You say, no, that's not something specifically you talk about?
They know that, come on, they're 18 and 22 years old, but they know because of shows like yours and the internet. I'm not complaining about that. It's the world that they live in. It's the information age, right? And so, I don't think anybody is sitting there going, hey, what's the percentage of the guys that win 12 games in the SEC that make it to postseason? I mean, that those are on every show that they watch. They're all over the internet and everything else. So I don't know know that they need to necessarily be reminded of it. They also need to know, how do you make that path? How do you get on that path? And a lot of the things we just discussed today. So we try not to focus too much on it, but certainly it's the elephant in the room. We all know that you have to win games to get to postseason.
Missouri coming up this weekend. So finals week in Oxford, no midweek games. And then you got a Missouri team that, you look and they've got the same record in league play that you've got. Going into this past weekend, they were sitting there at 5 wins and, worst SEC record. And yet they win a series at home against Missouri or against Mississippi State. And it feels like this Missouri team's been one of those all year long where they hadn't won a ton of games, but it feels like they're in almost every game and just scratch and claw all the time.
No, you're exactly right, and I didn't. We haven't started looking at the tape yet, but you're right. It's a team that if you follow from a distance. They're in a lot of weekends. They got opportunities to win games. It's a team that obviously against Mississippi State played well last weekend, and again, let's face it, we haven't won a ton of these games, and so every game's big for us, and every game's a difficult game for us. So not an easy weekend by any